All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle something that is just absolutely essential for anyone working with data. We're talking about how you take a huge, messy table of raw information and turn it into a clean, powerful summary that actually tells you something.
Okay, so picture this. You get a database, and it's got thousands, maybe millions of rows. Every single sale to every customer, every single day. I mean, there's a goldmine of information in there. But just looking at it, it's just a wall of noise. How do you possibly start to make sense of it all?
Yeah, take a look at this. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You could see, okay, customer 4 bought something here, and then again over here on the same day. But if I were to ask you right now, who were our most valuable customers? Or what were our total sales last Tuesday? You'd be stuck scrolling forever, trying to add things up in your head. It's just not going to work.
All right, so here's the game plan for today. We'll start by digging into that challenge of raw data. Then we'll meet our toolkit, these things called aggregate functions. After that, we'll unlock the real magic with something called group by. And then we'll put it all together to answer some real questions and talk about why this skill is such a game changer.
Right, so let's start with the big problem here. The core issue is that looking at data one row at a time, while it's super detailed, it just doesn't answer those big picture questions. We need a way to boil it down, to summarize it, without losing all the good stuff.
It's really about changing your perspective, right? You need to stop looking at every single tree and finally see the whole forest. And lucky for us, SQL has the perfect tools to help us zoom out. And our first set of tools are called aggregate functions.
All right, let's meet the team. There are 5 key players here, and these are special commands that do one calculation over a whole bunch of rows and give you back just a single summary answer.
First up, you've got count, and it does exactly what it sounds like it does. It just counts things. It's fantastic for answering any how many question, like how many sales did we have yesterday? But usually, how many is just the first question, right? The next one is how much?
And for that, you need sum. This is your workhorse for getting those big totals, like total revenue or total quantity sold. Now, if you know the total sum and you know the total count, what's the next logical step? Well, you want to know the average, don't you?
And that's where AVG comes in, which, you guessed it, calculates the average, or the mean. It's great for finding that typical value, like the average price of something. But you got to be careful with averages, because they can hide the really interesting stuff, the outliers, the extremes.
So to find those extremes, we've got min. This is how you find the absolute rock bottom value in a column. It's perfect for finding, say, the lowest price you've ever sold a product for.
And of course, on the flip side, you have max, which finds the highest value. This is how you spot your biggest sales or your most expensive products. So these 5 functions, they're your starting toolkit. But honestly, on their own, they're kind of limited.
This is where things get really interesting. Because those functions are useful, sure. But the real magic, the thing that really levels up your data skills, happens when you combine them with the group by clause.
Let me show you exactly what I mean. If we just take an aggregate function, like sum, and run it on our whole purchase table, what do we get? We get one number, just one single number. Sure, it tells us the total number of items we've ever sold, but so what? It doesn't tell us much, does it? And that's the key, right? This one big number, it's kind of useless for comparison. We don't want just one massive summary for the entire history of the company. We need summaries for specific groups of data. How do we do that?
And that is exactly what group by does. It's the instruction that tells the database, hey, hold on. Before you do that big sum or count, I want you to make some buckets first. Put all the rows that have the same value for, say, customer ID into their own bucket. Then do the math for each bucket separately.
And look at this. This is the transformation in action. It's beautiful. We've told SQL to count the purchases, but to group them by the date and the customer ID first. We didn't just get one big number, we got a whole table of summaries. We can see exactly how many purchases each customer made on each specific day. Now that is useful information. You can actually do something with this.
Okay, so we've got the basic tools down. Let's ramp it up a notch and tackle a question that's a lot more like what you'd get asked in the real world. So, how much did each customer spend with each vendor?
To figure this out, we can't just use one table. We're going to have to bring information together from a few different places: customer info, vendor info, and the purchases themselves. And then we can summarize.
And boom. Look at this result. This is the payoff right here. So what do? First, we joined our tables together to connect customers to their purchases and vendors. Then we used sum to add up the money for each sale. And the final critical step, we told it to group by the customer and the vendor. And just like that, you get this perfectly clean report that answers the exact question we were asked.
So you might be thinking, okay, that's a neat trick. But I gotta tell you, this isn't just a trick. This skill is absolutely 100% fundamental for anyone working with data.
Think about it. Pretty much everything you do in data analysis is built on this foundation. Creating those summary reports for your boss, that's just aggregation. Powering those cool interactive dashboards in a tool like Tableau, that's group by, working hard behind the scenes. Building clean data sets for deeper analysis, you're going to be aggregating. And for all you data scientists out there, this is feature engineering 101. These aggregated values are the very things you feed into your machine learning models.
So learning to summarize your data, it's not just about reporting on the past. Every time you create one of these summary tables, you're creating a new lens to look at your data. And once you can clearly see the patterns of what did happen, well, that's the first and most important step to making a really good prediction about what's going to happen